Well, good morning, students. I wonder
Good
whether you
morning.
can hear me.
Good morning, Doctor.
Yes, we hear
It's
you.
okay. Well, today we are going to resume our discussion for speaking skill. And before dealing with the new material, we are going to review the previous material with certain questions. And these questions will be answered by you. So beginning with Ruqayya Abdullah. Ruqayya Abdullah. Where is Ruqayya? Okay. Rand Ibrahim. Rand Ibrahim. Okay. Zahra Jamil. Zahra Jamil. Okay. Zahra Saeed. Zahra Saeed Darbash. غفران حسين. غفران حسين. سارة مسلم. سارة مسلم. محمد باقر. محمد باقر. منتظر عايد. منتظر عايد. مرتضى قحطان. مرتضى قحطان. مريم حيدر سلمان. مريم حيدر سلمان. نرجس علي سامي. نرجس علي سامي. نور الهدى حيدر علي. نور الهدى حيدر علي. زهراء علي عبادي. زهراء علي عبادي. زهراء علي عبادي. فاطمة جواد كاظم. فاطمة جواد كاظم. فاطمة جواد كاظم. رواء فاضل. رواء فاضل. رواء فاضل. رواسي ستار. رواسي ستار. زهراء حسن كاظم. زهراء حسن كاظم. By the way, there are some students who are found here, but they are not responding to me. I don't know what's the reason. Abdullah. Abdullah.
Yes, Doctor.
Abdullah Hakim.
Yes.
Is there any problem? I believe that most of students are available here in the, Google Meet. I don't know why they are not responding.
Frankly, Doctor, I don't know.
Well, if there is any problem, okay, you can chat me here on the messages, okay? For any student who has any problem, any technical problem, just to tell me. Zahra Hassan. Zahra Hassan. Otherwise, I'm going to give them 0. Zahra Ali Talib. Zahra Ali Talib. Zahra Ali Talib. Zainab Sata. Zainab Sata.
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, okay. Zainab, what is the meaning of communicative efficiency? And how is it different from language proficiency?
Communicative efficiency. Learners should be able to make themselves understood using their current profession to the fullest.
To the what?
Fullest.
Not fullest. Fullest. Fullest.
Fullest.
Yes.
Fullest. They should try to avoid.
Zainab, Zainab,
Yes.
Zainab,
Yes.
you are repeating what is found in the book, and this is wrong. What I need you just to make a clear difference between communicative efficiency and language proficiency. These things are not clear just now.
Yes.
Zahra Abdel Amir. Zahra Abdel Amir. Zahra Abdel Amir.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay.
Yes.
Zahra, what makes the message delivered by speakers confused? What makes the message delivered by speakers confused?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yes.
Haven't you reviewed the previous material, Zahra?
No.
Didn't I say that you have to read the previous material before going ahead to the new material? Zainab Ali, Hussein Ali. Zainab Ali, Hussein Ali. Zainab Ali, Hussein Ali. زينب ظافر راضي. زينب ظافر راضي. زينب ظافر راضي. سيناء نوري يوسف. سيناء نوري يوسف. ضياء فليح. ضياء فليح. سجا نجاح. سجا نجاح. سجا نجاح.
Doctor,
Yes, tell me.
can I answer your question or
No,
not?
no. This is a daily exam, and I told all the students, and of course, the lecture was recorded, and even this instruction was found there. And it is supposed that all students should prepare the previous material. Otherwise, I cannot ensure that they understood everything. These are included, I mean, these points are included in the final examination. Unless students have a full mastery of these things, how can they respond in the final examination? So this is my aim. It's not the aim just to answer the question and that's it. But I want just to ensure that students understand the material fully. غفران عباس سامي. غفران عباس سامي. Okay. What are the components of balanced activities approach? What are the components of balanced activity approach?
Let me see, Doctor.
What are the components? You know the components?
Yes,
What
Doctor,
does it
let me see,
include?
because
Yeah.
I mentioned it in the book.
So I'm not asking you to check it in the book, by the way.
No,
I'm
in the
asking you
notebook,
whether you understand this question or not. What are the components of balanced activities approach?
Yes, Doctor. We have this approach. Believe that we have a process in speaking, which they are language input, the structure read output,
Yeah.
and communication output.
Communicative, or very good,
Yes.
very good, very good. Abdullah Hussein.
I accept
Yeah,
it
that's it.
or
No,
not?
that's it. It's okay. Abdullah Hussein.
Yes. Yes.
Abdullah.
Yes.
What is the difference? What is the difference between content-oriented inputs and form-oriented inputs? What is the difference between content-oriented inputs and form-oriented inputs? Did you understand the question, Abdullah? What is the difference between content-oriented input and form-oriented input?
Doctor, I will listening to the recording, but I'm not understanding this topic carefully.
Why didn't you ask me, by the way? Why didn't you ask me? Why didn't you put your question in the stream of the class? Okay. So if you didn't understand, well, in the previous lecture, I paused in the lecture several times, and I always ask whether you understand my explanation or not. This is the idea. So if you are saying that I didn't understand, this is because of you, not because of me. Okay, Kawthar Allawi. Kawthar Allawi. Kawthar Allawi. فاطمة حمزة ناصر. فاطمة حمزة ناصر. فاطمة حمزة ناصر. فاطمة حمزة ناصر. فلة عمار. فلة عمار. فلة عمار. كفاح مثنى. كفاح مثنى. Yes, كفاح. What is the meaning of structured inputs? What is the meaning of structured inputs? What is the meaning of structured inputs?
Structure input or output?
No, here, well, when we are talking about this, you have to know that we have stages. Sorry, structured output. Sorry, structured output.
No,
Yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Structure output consider as a transition. It means in the mid and between two stages.
Okay,
The input and communicative output.
very good.
To make
Very good.
students
Very
able to speak freely, it is the stage that make them able to make them ready to speak
very good.
whatever they like without
Very good.
instruction.
Very good. Very good.
Yes. Students are going to
Okay,
speak
that's it. That's
their
it. That's it. It's okay. It's okay. Kifah. It's okay. That's it. محمد
Okay.
حسين هاشم. محمد حسين هاشم. محمد حسين هاشم. مريم أحمد حمزة. مريم أحمد حمزة. مسار نمير كريم. مسار نمير كريم. نبأ مسلم محمد. نبأ مسلم محمد. نبأ مسلم محمد. نور الهدى صافي. نور الهدى صافي.
دكتور.
Yes, نبأ. نبأ
Yes.
مسلم.
Yes, دكتور.
Okay, I called your name, but you didn't respond. Anyway,
Yes,
yes,
دكتور.
it's now. What is eliciting? What is eliciting? What is eliciting? What is eliciting?
The aim of teacher to have communication and interaction, not to speak only. We need to make students use language naturally for the sake of communication, activity, as for example, we should make. No, doctor, I make mixing between.
Eliciting.
Yes.
Never. Eliciting.
It motivate that the teacher in the beginning of the lesson try to
Yes.
encourage student to talk.
Okay. 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 هدى عباس محاميد. هدى عباس محاميد. هدى عباس محاميد. هند غانم تركي. هند غانم تركي. وجدان علوان حسين. وجدان علوان حسين. يقين موسى اسماعيل. يقين موسى اسماعيل.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. يقين. What is the psychological factor that affect the development of speaking skill of the learner? What is the psychological factor that affects the development of speaking skill of the learner?
Doctor, can you repeat the question?
Yes, I'm repeating the question several times. What is the psychological factor that affects the development of speaking skill of the learner? I believe that the question is very clear.
Doctor, can you give me another question?
No, it's not a matter. It's not a matter of choice, Yaqeen. Suppose that this question is given to you in the exam. You are going to leave it, and you are not going to respond. It's not a matter just to choose. You are required to answer any question that I'm going to give. Okay, so it's not a matter of choice.
Doctor, I don't know.
If you don't know, it means that you didn't understand fully the previous lecture, or you didn't review it in detail, what I need you is just to listen carefully to the recorded lecture, because every word, not a sentence, to be said by me will be transformed to a question, whether in the final examination or in the daily exam. And you have to know, you have to be ready for all these things, because we are moving ahead. What does it mean? It means that we are going to add other materials. So it will be too much for you if you are not understanding what previously given. What I need you, you have a week. What does it mean? A good time to review. And all lectures are recorded and delivered to you. So you don't have any excuse, or you don't have any justification to say that I cannot understand. And if it happens, why not just to write a question stream to tell me specifically what is to be not understood? So this is what I need you just to do, because it's no longer just to finish our course. It's only 3 lectures or 4, and it will be over. So be ready for these things, and we didn't like you just to waste time for what is presented. Anyway, we are going to stop at this point, and we are going to have the new material. So what I need you now, just to go to your book and follow me on page 67. Page 67, developing speaking activities. Developing speaking activities. Traditional classroom speaking practice often takes the form of drills in which one person asks a question and another gives an answer. The question and the answer are structured and predictable, and often there is only one correct predetermined answer. The purpose of asking and answering the question is to demonstrate the ability to ask and answer the question. Now, here we are talking about the word here, traditional. What I need you just to focus on this word. When I say traditional, it means that this is something not new. That is, when we want just to have something structured. What does it mean? Something to be controlled by the teacher. Here, as we talk about speaking, okay, should be free. I mean, if we want just to develop speaking. But you see, we are not going to reach this point directly. There are stages, as we said, okay? So one of this is the transitional stage in which we are going to make learners ready to speak freely. So here, one of these activities is just what? Ask and answer. It's just like what I did just now. I ask you and you answer. Of course, we are speaking, but this speech is what controlled. You are going to talk about what I ask. So this is what is done traditionally. What does it mean traditionally? I mean, along all methods of teaching, the traditional way of, making speaking going on. That is what that is. Using a question and answer strategy or activity. The teacher is asking and the student is responding. This question and answer, it develops some sort of dialogue, conversation. Okay, but this conversation is controlled because the answer is known. Just like what I did just now, because the answer is known. So what you are going to speak is determined. You are not going to speak out of your mind. You are not free just to say whatever you like. You have to answer the question perfectly and to be limited to the question. So this is what we call question and answer activity, in which we are going to make the beginning, or we are going to make learners ready to speak. So this is what we call the traditional way, or let me say, the activity of question and answer as a beginning to make students speak. Is it clear or not? Just tell me.
Doctor,
Yes, yes, doctor.
Yes, please.
can you repeat it?
Yes, I'm going to repeat. Here, still we are at the transitional stage. What does it mean, transitional stage? That the stage that makes students able to speak, but they are not speaking freely. They are what? Their speech is structured. Their speech is structured. What is the technique? The technique is question and answer. That is, the teacher is asking and students are responding, whether individually or chorally. So here, when we are talking about this, this is a traditional way. What does it mean? It is followed, ages ago. Okay, this is the traditional way. That is not to be new, or not to be a new activity, or not to be a new strategy. It is done. Start from the beginning. Okay, so this is a way to encourage students to speak, because we want them just to speak first, and then we are going to develop their speaking freely. In the way that they are going to be, free to talk whatever they like. Okay, to express their own ideas. But here, in this stage, no, their speech is restricted, limited to what is to be answered for the questions that are given by the teacher, and the questions are determined, limited, and the answer is known, predetermined, predictable. That is, the answers to be said by students are not to be, innovated or created by the students. No. It is already given by the teacher, and they are going to repeat. Is it clear just now?
Yes, it's clear. It's clear.
Okay. No. In contrast, the purpose of real communication is to accomplish a task, such as conveying a telephone message, obtaining information, or expressing an opinion. In real communication, participant must manage uncertainty about what the other person will say. Authentic communication involves an information gap. Each participant has information that the other does not have. In addition, to achieve their purpose, participants may have to clarify their meaning or to ask for confirmation of their own understanding. This is to be compared with real communication. Of course, when we are talking about natural communication, that is what is happening in everyday life situation. Of course, these are not found. We don't have a predetermined questions and we have definite answers. No. Here, we have to go to other activities in which, what do we have? We have certain ways to make students or learners to do activities that are similar to real life dialogues. For example, here giving them situations, conveying a telephone message, expressing opinion if there is a discussion. So we are moving ahead to other activities that are similar to natural dialogues that are happening in the real life situations. Then giving them authentic communication. What does it mean? Giving them a topic which is in touch of their own daily life situations. This is again an activity. You see now, so we are comparing with the traditional activities and with the activities that are similar to real communication. So here, compare between these things, and you are going to see the differences. Here we have artificial communication. There it is it is natural communication. Here the question and answer is what? Determined, controlled. There, no. It is related to the situation. It is related to, I mean, the activity itself, which evokes certain things that are related to the situations to be given, as the examples that are found in the book. Now, here, in this case, we are going to achieve the purpose of communication. That is, we are giving the learners the chance to have the communicative use of language. That is what it is, not just to answer something. No, it is something related to the situation, and the response is related to the situation, and there is something here related to information gap. That is what I say, what I have, and then I'm going to receive what I miss. This is what we call information gap. So these are activities to be compared with traditional activities, okay, to develop a speaking skill. To create classroom speaking activities that will develop communicative competence, teachers need to incorporate a purpose and information gap and to allow multiple forms of expression. This is very important. Now, what is the role of a teacher to develop the communicative competence of their learners? Here, to give them activities that are purposeful. What does it mean, purposeful? I use the language to achieve certain needs. In this case, this communication is what, or this dialogue is what, purposeful. I use language for certain things. For example, I'm asking them to draw, for example, a map. And then there are certain instructions in which there is some sort of communication. Okay, so this communication is related to the activity, and this activity is purposeful. We accomplish something by using the language, whether as instructed by the teacher or as to be communicated by other students. This is one. An activity in which, for example, a passage to be given, and it will be divided into two parts. One part for one group and the other part for the group number two. And there is a missing information to be complete. Of course, this is purposeful. There is a purpose behind communication to complete what is missed. So there is a purpose. So here for teachers, they should, design an activity in which communication is purposeful. This is one. Second, they are having multiple forms. What does it mean? We are not going to restrict, as teachers, we are not going to restrict the students' speech to one structure, to one form. No, they are free to express their own ideas in the expression that they feel that they can do. Okay, so what does it mean here? Language forms will not be controlled. Language structures, not language expressions. The sentences that they form, they are not restricted. They are not limited. Okay, we give, as teachers, students, the opportunity or the chance to use the forms that they are able to. So here language will not be restricted as the traditional way of let me say, developing speaking skill. No, they are able to use the forms that they can use, okay, to accomplish the activity to be given in the class. Clear or not, just tell me.
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
But I have a question, doctor.
Yeah, tell me.
Yes, doctor. I have comment, by the way. Traditional classroom, doctor, it's take one correct answer, and the purpose of the traditional classroom, it's demonstrate the ability to ask and answering the question.
Very good.
Doctor, there is no real real reason for the asking.
Yes, there is no real communication. There is no real
Development
communication. Yes,
of asking and the question.
very good.
But in real communication, that's what happened in the daily life. When I write a
Very-
message, I have real reason to write it.
And you have a
Also,
purpose. You have a purpose. Okay.
I also have
What is the
opinion
aim? What is the
information.
okay? Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
You have an aim to use language to fulfill certain things. As the example that we have, for example, we design an activity in which we have, for example, a telephone call. Of course, in a telephone call, there is a situation. And inside situation, we have language. This language is a tool to achieve this situation. A telephone call, for example, about, let me say, a company, okay, and for example, a candidate for a new job, for example, okay. So here we have language, but this language is purposeful to achieve the meaning of the dialogue, okay. What is the purpose? What is the aim? For example, getting a new job. So we are not considering language itself. We are considering language as a tool to achieve this situation, to achieve this aim or purpose. That is what getting a new job.
Yes, Doctor. Real communication. There is many.
Yeah. Because here,
to get it.
as a matter to develop speaking skill should be taught in the way that it is similar to what is happening in everyday life situation. I'm using the language as a tool, not the aim. The aim, not the language itself. The aim is the situation that I have and the meaning of the situation or the topic of the situation. And if it is accomplished, it is okay. That is the purpose. That is the aim, not the language. The language is a tool. Okay. To create classroom speaking activities that will develop communicative competence, as we said, teachers need to incorporate a purpose and information gap and to allow multiple forms of expression. However, a quantity alone will not necessarily produce competent speakers. Teachers need to combine structures output activities which allow for error correction and increased accuracy, with communicative output activities that give students opportunities to practice language use more freely. Here, there is a keyword that is quantity. Quantity. What do you mean by quantity? Quantity means how much I speak, how much I speak. But here, you have to compare quantity with equality, and this is very important. We have a quantity and we have a quality. What do you mean by quantity and quality? Here, learners are speaking, okay? But what kind of mistakes that they have when they are speaking? This is the role of the teacher. That is to have an evaluation and then to have a correction for what is to be said. And in this case, we are moving to the quality of speaking. That is what? To make speaking as accurate as possible, as correct as possible. That is what? The quality of speaking, as to be compared with what? With the quantity. Learners are speaking for a long time, but this kind of speech should be what? Should be evaluated. Is it all correct? Is it all accurate? Okay, what kind of mistakes that are happening here and there? This is what? This is the quality, as compared with what? With the quantity. And if I ask you about these things, you have to consider these differences, because here, as teachers, we are concerned with the quantity. How much learners are speaking, the period of speaking, Okay, that is quantity, the amount of speaking. But again, we are responsible with what? With the quality. That is the evaluation of what is to be said and the correction to be made later. Of course, we are going to give them an activity and they are going to speak fluently. We are not going to stop them, but as teachers, our responsibilities are to what? To make students speak correctly. We are going to consider what are the mistakes that are happening here and there. And in this case, we are behind what? Quality. Quality. I mean, speech is to be said correctly and accurately. Clear? Clear? When I say quantity is not enough, we need to correct for learners after their speech activity to have the quality of speech rather than
Victor, can
yes.
you repeat the quality?
Quality is the evaluation of what is to be said by learners. That is the error correction and let me say recognition of the errors or mistakes, and then to be corrected later on, because in this case we are moving from the quantity to quality as a responsibility for teachers to develop speaking skill. Okay, now we move to structured output activities. Structured output activities. Two common kinds of structured output activities are information gap and jigsaw activities. In both of these types of activities, students complete a task by obtaining a missing information, a feature the activities have in common with real communication. However, information gap and jigsaw activities also set up practice on specific items of language. In this respect, they are more like, drills than like communication. You see now, still we are talking about the transitional stage. That is what? The activities that are designed by students to give chances to speak, but still it is controlled. Still it is controlled. It is designed by, so still students are not completely free, okay, to have communication. What are these things? Information gap. I need you just to consider information gap, that there is something missing, okay? So here, what is to be missed is decided by the teacher. And that's why we call it what is structured. Get the point now? Let us see what do we have in information gap activities. Filling the gaps in the schedule for a timetable. You see now, I need you just to consider the examples. These are examples. What is going on inside the class? Partner A holds an airline timetable with some of the arrival and departure times missing. Partner B has the same timetable, but with different blank spaces. The two partners are not permitted to see each other's timetables and must fill in the blanks by asking each other appropriate questions. Clear or not? I believe that they are very clear. Is it clear to you or not? Just tell me. I'm reading what is found in the book as an example. And this the information gap about the timetable schedule of airplanes. It's just like this. Any question about this? Okay. The features of language that are practiced would include a question beginning with when or what time. Answers would be limited mostly to time expressions like 8:15 or 10 in the evening, just like this, because we are talking about the times of flights, you know, when we talk about airplanes, or let me say airport system. Completing the picture. Yeah, this is another activity. You see now, what do we have? Completing a picture. The two partners have similar pictures, each with different missing details, and they cooperate to find all the missing details. In another variation, no items are missing, but similar items differ in appearance. For example, in one picture, a man walking along the streets may be wearing an overcoat, while in the other man is wearing a jacket. Features of grammar and vocabulary that are practiced are determined by the content of the pictures, and the items that are missing or different. Differences in the activities depicted lead to the practice of different verbs. Difference in number, size, and shape lead to an adjective practice. Differing locations would probably be described with prepositional phrases. Now, did you understand these things? By the way, you see now we have a topic, and through these topics, what do we have? The use of language, verbs, adjectives, prepositional phrases. You see now, so language will be used as a tool for the topic itself, for the activity itself. Clear or not? Just tell me. Clear? Students? Students?
Yes, doctor, it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. These activities may be set up so that the patterns must, practice more than just grammatical and lexical features. For example, the timetable activity gains a social dimensions when one partner assumes the role of a student trying to make an appointment with a partner who takes the role of the professor. Each partner has pages from an appointment book in which certain dates and times are already filled in, and other times are still available for an appointment. You see now, when we have these activities, of course, what do we have? We have roles. You know, roles. Here we have some sort of acting. Each partner or each student or each learner is having a role in this activity. That is what to have some sort of similarity between what is happening really in life, okay, as a situation, okay. So in this case, each learner, each partner, each student will perform a role. Perform, when I say perform, it means that there is a role to be acted by the student or by the learner, and the learner is using a language which is suiting or suitable to the role, to be done in the activity. Of course, the open times do not match exactly, so there must be some polite negotiation to arrive at a mutually convenient time for a meeting or a conference. So is it clear with this activity when we talk about information gap? Briefly speaking, we have let me say something missing, okay, whether in certain information, or let me say to be picturized as something visual, and this will increase some sort of talk using certain forms of language to be developed in this activity. Let us see jigsaw. What does it mean? Jigsaw activities. Jigsaw activities are more elaborate information. Elaborate, what does it mean? Detailed. It gives more information. okay, activities that can be done with several partners. These activities, as to be compared with the information gap, sometimes it needs more participation. In jigsaw activity, each partner has one or a few pieces of the puzzle. You know, puzzle, just like riddle, puzzle. You know, puzzle, something missed or undiscovered or unknown, and the partners must cooperate to fit all pieces into a whole picture. The puzzle piece may take one of several forms. It may be an open panel from a comic strip, or one photo from a set that tells a story. It may be one sentence from a written narrative. It may be a tape recording of a conversation, in which case no two partners hear exactly the same conversation. Now, in this activity, what do we have? We have different partners, different participants, different learners, and each one knows something. For example, let us have a story. Different paragraphs. These paragraphs, okay, will be divided or distributed to the learners or the participant of this activity. Each one has one, but it is not complete. It will be completed by the other. So here they are going to engage. I mean the learners in this activity, in which they are going to discover what is the first paragraph, what is the second, what is coming next, and next, and next, till they complete the story. Sometimes the story will be in one paragraph, so they are going to divide it, or they are going to have sentences. So what is sentence number one? What is sentence number two? What is that? So it is a puzzle, you know, a puzzle riddle, something to be discovered later. When they are going to participate and arrange or cooperate, what does it mean? Help one another to discover what is the beginning, what is inside, and what is the end of the story, if it is to be in one paragraph. So they are going to have different sentences, and through communication, they are going to discover what is the first sentence, what is the second, and what is the third, and what is the final sentence. Is it okay? No.
Yes, Doctor.
And yes, please.
No, Doctor, it is clear.
Yeah. In one fairly simple jigsaw activity, students work in groups of 4. Each student in the group receives one panel from comic strip. Partners may not show each other panels together. In the 4 panels present this narrative. A man takes a container of ice cream. You see, by the way, this is an example from the freezer. He serves himself several scoops of ice cream. He sits in front of the TV eating kitchen and finds he left the container of ice cream now melting. No kitchen counter. These pictures have clear narrative line, and the partners are not likely to disagree about the appropriate sequencing. By the way, if the story to be pictures, what does it mean? Of course, the story will be given not as let me say, written form. It will be only pictures. So here, if you have a story, there must be picture number 1 to give the starting point of the story. What is it? What is the beginning? And then these pictures will be arranged in the order or sequence of events of the story itself. So here we don't have a written form of the language, only visual let me say, form. That is what the picture. And through negotiation, through communication, these pictures will be arranged in the sequence of events of the story. You can make the task more demanding, however, by using pictures that lend themselves to alternative sequence, so that the parties have to negotiate among themselves to agree on a satisfactory sequence. More elaborate jigsaws may proceed in 2 stages. Students first work in input group A, B, C, and D to receive information. Each group receives a different part of the total information for the task. Students then reorganize into groups of 4 with 1 student each from A, B, C, and D, and use information they receive to complete the task. Such an organization could be used, for example, when the input is given the form of a tape recording. Groups A, B, C, and D each hears a different recording of the short news bulletin. The 4 recordings are all contain the same general information, but each has 1 or more details that the other do not. In the second stage, students reconstruct the complete story by comparing the 4 versions. Here we have another example. That is what tape recording. That is what 4 tape recording to be given to different groups. But these are not to be arranged, and some of them having the summary and the other is having details. Then through communication, they are going to reconstruct, to what? To reorganize these things, to tell what is the beginning, what is the details, and what is the end of, let me say, for example, a news information. With information gap and jigsaw activities, teachers need to be conscious of the language demands they place on their students. If an activity calls for language your students have not already practiced, you can brainstorm with them when setting up the activity to preview the language they will need, eliciting what they already know and supplementing what they are able to produce themselves. This is very important. Now, what is the role of the teacher in these 2 activities, whether jigsaw or information gap? Here, to demonstrate language, okay, that is, okay, to discover what students know about language and what is new for them. So for what language that they know, by the way, as a teacher, of course, you are having something related to language background. What does it mean? You have to know what is the language background of learners, what they already know. This will be elicited by you. You are going to ask them about what they know, okay? Do you remember what we have in the previous lesson? Do you have something about, for example, the use of this verb, the use of this adjective? So what does it mean here? You are going to motivate them just to what? To remember or to recall what they have previously. And then to relate what is in you by giving them certain adjectives, certain that they don't know, and to put them on the board, for example, and then they are going to relate these things with the previously vocabulary that they have. This is your job as a teacher, to relate what is in you to their language background if they have something before. Okay, this is for language. Okay, you have to know the vocabulary store of your student. Of course, you are not talking about beginners of no language background. No, we are talking about students who are having something previously to be introduced, and they have vocabulary store, and they have something in their minds about language. That is what vocabulary, structure, or anything that is related to language use. Structured output activities can form an effective bridge between instructor modeling and communicative output because they are partly authentic and partly artificial. Okay. We said it is a transitional stage, and it is a bridge, and this is very important. What does it mean, a bridge? Here we have two things. Authentic material, that is what? Taken from everyday life situation, but still the language is what? Artificial. So here we are moving ahead to what? To something authentic and something natural. As we have this stage, that is what? Transitional. We have something from real communication, that is what? Authentic, but still the language is artificial. Like authentic communication, they feature information gaps that must be bridged for successful completion of the task. However, where authentic communication allows speakers to use all of the language they know, structured output activities lead students to practice specific features of language and to practice only in the brief sentences, not in extended discourse. Also, structured output in situations are contrived and more like games than real communication, and participant social roles are irrelevant to the performance of the activity. This structure controls the number of variables that students must deal with when they are first exposed to new material. As they become comfortable, they can move on to true communicative output activities. Of course, this is to summarize that structured output activities is a bridge to reach the communicative output activities. This is one. Second, there is some sort of let me say introduction to communicative output activities. Still, we are not going to have let me say some sort of details, because now we are going to discover what's meant by communicative output activities. Communicative output activities allow students to practice using all of the language they know in situations that resemble real settings. This is the definition of communicative output activities. Once again, communicative output activities allow students to practice using all of the language they know in situations that resemble real settings. Okay, what do we have? We have two important things. First of all, we have language of the learner. What does it mean here? It means that the learners are going to use their own language, their own vocabulary, their own structure, their own expression. Okay, so they are not going to be restricted. They are going to what? To be free. This is one. Second, where to use these things? In situations that resemble, similar to what? To everyday life situations. In these activities, students must work together, okay, to develop a plan, resolve a problem, or complete a task. The most common types of communicative output activities are, okay, here there are two main activities in output or communicative output activities, that are role plays and discussion. You see now? So here we have two main types, role play and discussion. Let us discover what do we have in each type. In role play, students are assigned roles to put into situations that they may eventually encounter outside the classroom. Because role plays imitate life, the range of language functions that may be used expands considerably. Also, the role of relationships among the students as they play their parts call for them to practice and develop their social linguistic competence. They have to use language that is appropriate to the situation and to the characters. Briefly speaking, role play is what? Acting. And when we say now acting, it means that the language will not be what determined. In role play, they are not going to memorize what they are going to say, or they are not going to be instructed how to use the language. No, they are going to be given certain situations, and there are roles inside the situation. For example, we have a policeman and we have a driver. We are going to give a role for a student to be a policeman, and we are going to give a role for a learner just to be a driver. The language to be okay, Sarah is asking about the page 72. The role to be decided, yes, or to be assigned here. I mean, each student, each learner will be given what? Will be given a role. And this role is to be given without the language to be used. And this is very important. A policeman as a role will decide the language to be set. The role of the driver, the learner acting as a driver will decide the language to be used. So it will be a dialogue between the two, and they are free to use the language according to the situation, by the way. They are free, okay, but they are what? They are using language according to the situation, according to the topic. Got the point now? In this case, what do we have? We have sociolinguistic competence, that is using what is suitable to the situation. And that's why the language should be appropriate to the situation. Clear or not? Just tell me. Any question?
No, Doctor, thank you. Clear.
Okay. Students usually find role playing enjoyable, but students who lack self-confidence or have lower proficiency levels may find themselves imitating at first. To succeed with the role plays. Okay, now here, if we say that role play is enjoyable, why? Of course, students feel themselves outside the school. They are what? They are having something which is what? They sense, they feel, because they are going to practice a role which is what? Which is basically found in their daily life situation. So it is enjoyable because they feel relaxed, nothing to be restricted, no, something to be near to them, something they feel, and that's why they feel enjoy, they feel relaxed, they feel that they are not restricted, not controlled. And they are going to practice something, assuming roles that are basically found in their daily lives. It is not too far, it is too near to them. So it is something enjoyable. Of course, they are acting, and they are going to what? To feel the situation, to sense the situation. The learner feels that himself as what? A policeman. The other learner in the other part he feels himself that he's a driver. So in this case, it is enjoyable. But here there is a problem. Of course, when we are going to give them the roles, and they are not going to be given the language, the students who are weak, they feel that they are inconfident because they know the role, but they don't know how to manage with language because they feel that they are incompetent. They feel that they are not having a good mastery or control of the language. Okay, I know the role, but how can I fill the role with the language? How can I use the language as a tool to satisfy others when they are watching me acting as a policeman or a driver, but I cannot use the language? So at first, it will be a problem for weak students who are not having a good control of the language. But what to do to encourage them? What to do to make them more confident? What to do as teachers? And what are the things to be done by both teachers and let us discover. Here, for the teacher to help students to be ready, prepare carefully, introduce the activity by describing the situation and making sure that all students understand it. Of course, without understanding what is going on, they are not going to fulfill the roles. So we are going to give them instructions what to do in this situation. Set a goal or outcome. What does it mean? We have a dialogue between a driver and a policeman. What is the purpose behind this dialogue? For example, a policeman is asking the driver about the license, for example, or the policeman is telling the driver that is doing something wrong in the street, or it's about the speed of driving, just like this. Be sure that students understand what is the product of the role play should be, whether a plan or schedule or a group opinion or some other product. Use role cards. Give each student a card that describes the person or a role to be played. For lower level students, I mean weak students, cards can include words or expressions that the person might use. For whom? For weak students. Brainstorm. You know the word brainstorm? Brainstorm, it means that a question which is to be given suddenly without any earlier, let me say, preparation. And we are going to get quick answers, okay? Immediate and quick answers. Brainstorm, before you start the role play, have students brainstorm as a class to predict what vocabulary or grammar and idiomatic expressions that they might use. Keep groups small. Less confident students will feel more able to participate if they do not have to compete many voices. Give students time to prepare. Let them work individually to outline their ideas and the language they will need to express them. Be present as a resource, not a monitor. Stay in communicative mode to answer students' questions. Do not correct their pronunciation or grammar unless they specifically ask you about. Allow students to work at their own levels. Each student has individual language skills and an individual approach to work in groups and specific role to play in the activity. Do not expect all students to contribute equally to the discussion or to use every grammar point you have taught. And this is very important because you see now each student has a specific level. Students vary in their own levels. So we are not going to expect that their language will be the same of the language that I have, that we have as teachers. Of course, they are not having complete control of language. Their vocabulary may be poor, and we are not going to expect that they know all vocabulary, all structures, all grammar that they should use. Do topical follow-up. Have students report to the class on the outcome of their role plays. The end of the activity. Give them a chance to write down what we are doing, what is achieved, what did we do. All these things should be decided by them, because we are going to have their own reports and to read. Did they feel that this activity is useful for them? Is it okay to new vocabulary, new use of language, and so on? Okay. Do linguistic follow-up after the role play is over. Give feedback on grammar and pronunciation after the finishing of the activity. You are going to give them certain information. Okay, you are using, for example, this sentence wrong. You are using, for example, this structure wrong. This vocabulary should be used in this case. Give them feedback. It means that you are going to give them additional information to be added to their own language. Let me say information which is related to structure or even vocabulary. This can wait until another class period when you plan to review pronunciation or grammar anyway. So is it clear now with the role play? This is activity number 1 in the communicative output activities. Let us move to discussion. Discussion, like role plays, succeed when the teacher prepares students first, then gets out of the way. Okay. Now, what is the difference between discussion and role play? Role play is acting. Discussion, it means that a debate. What does it mean? We give them a topic to discuss, to negotiate. And we are going to, put them in this case, and we are going to leave them to agree or disagree. Okay. For example, we are going to give them a topic about, for example, the uniform, or let me say the uniform of, let me say, the school. Okay. Do you agree that it must be a uniform? The dressing. Is it okay to be obligatory, or students are free to wear whatever they like? So we leave the time for them to discuss. One say, no, I don't agree with the uniform. Saying, the other is saying, no, I agree, because we have so and so. Each one will have his own personal opinion. Let us see what is going on. Prepare the students, give them input. Yes, please. Yes. Yes.
And the topic who is choosing, the teacher as player or
of course. The topic will be suitable for students. It should be what? First, authentic. The other suits their own environment. Okay. So of course, this will be definitely related to the teacher by the choice of let me say choice of the topic to be discussed.
And there is no freedom in choosing. Yes. And there is no freedom in the choosing the topic.
Well, sometimes it will be the choice of students. Okay, what do you, for example, what do you suggest for the topic that we are going to talk about? So we are going to have their own opinions about the topic that they want. Okay, and it will be to be written on the board. So, and then we are going to choose what kind of topic that suits all the students. Okay, we are going to have 3 topics, and we are going to ask them, raise your hand, which topic that you mostly need to talk about. And if it is, let me say, by having their opinion, okay, by raising hands, we are going to decide the topic, which is basically decided by the learner, not by the teacher. Got it now, Safe?
Okay, okay.
Okay. Prepare students, give them input, both topical and information and language forms, so that they will have something or to say and language with which to say it. Offer choices. Let students suggest the topic. You see, this is Safe. This is what we said earlier. Offer choices. Let students suggest the topic for discussion or choose from several options. Discussion does not always have to be about serious issues. Students are likely to be more motivated to participate if the topic is television programs, plans for a vacation, or news about mutual friends. Of course, we should not use heavy topics, okay? We are not going to talk about something about politics. No. For example, we are going to suggest topics that are, let me say, encouraging students to talk more. For example, travel, okay, journeys, okay, television programs, okay, plans for vacation. I mean, what you are going to do for holidays. These things are easier for students just to talk about. And of course, enjoyable for them. Weighty topics, you know, weighty topics like how to combat pollution, or not as engaging, place heavy demands on the students' linguistic competence. Because you see now, with topics that are difficult for students, how can we expect that students are able to choose the vocabulary which is suitable to the topic? If the topic is difficult, of course, it will be difficult for students to use the language. Set a goal or outcome. This can be a group product, such as a letter to the editor, or individual reports on the views of others in the group. Use a small group instead of whole class discussion. Large groups can make participation difficult, of course. If we are going to divide the class into 2 groups, 3 groups, it would be easier for them to discuss, because the time for each students to talk will be more. But if it is the whole class, it will be difficult for each student to talk. Keep it short. Give students a defined period of time, not more than 8 to 10 minutes. What does it mean here? If the activity of discussion will be more, you know that it will be difficult for students to talk for a long time, because still their language control is not perfect. They are not using language perfectly to have a long time to use language. For discussion, allow them to stop sooner if they run out of things to say. If they are not able to say something, make them stop. I mean, or give them a certain order just to stop, because they are not able to speak more. Their abilities will be limited. Allow students to participate in their own way. Not every student will feel comfortable talking about every topic. Of course, these topics will not be enjoyable for all students. Sometimes the topic that is to be chosen will be interesting for some and uninteresting for others. So we are not going to expect that all students will participate in every topic. Do not expect all of them to contribute equally to the conversation. Do topical follow-up. Have students report to the class on the results of their discussion. Do linguistic follow-up after the discussion is over. Give feedback on grammar or pronunciation problems you have heard. This can wait until another class period, when you plan to review pronunciation or grammar anyway. Through well-prepared communicative output activities such as role play and discussion, you can encourage students to experiment and innovate with the language and create a supportive atmosphere that allows them to make mistakes without fear of or embarrassment. This will contribute to their self-confidence as speakers and to their motivation to learn more. Of course, as we said earlier, that in these two activities, students are free to what? To use language. And in this case, they are going to innovate. What does it mean? Create something new, because their language will not be structured, okay? And in these two activities, students are psychologically developing their own, let me say, way of using language without embarrassment. Okay, there will not be direct, let me say, relation between the teacher and students. The students are using language among themselves, so they don't feel embarrassed. They don't fear, because they are in the same level and they are going to chat among themselves. So here there is no way of embarrassment or feeling shy, because here they are the same level and they are chatting among themselves without feeling, afraid of having, mistakes or errors, because there is no direct dialogue or conversation between them and the teacher. Is that okay now? Is that okay with the discussion and with the role play? Let us move now to strategies for developing speaking skills. Students often think that the ability to speak is the product of language learning, but speaking is also a crucial part for the language learning process. Effective teachers teach students speaking strategies using minimal responses, recognizing scripts, and using language to talk about language. Using language to talk about language that they can use to help themselves expand their knowledge of the language and the confidence in using it. These teachers help students learn to speak so that the students can use speaking to learn. This is very, very, very important. I want you just to consider it. Teachers help students learn to speak so that students can use speaking to learn. You see now? Learning to speak and speaking to learn. What does it mean? Now listen. Here in speaking skill, of course, we are developing students' ability to use language. Use language what? As what? As a tool. But here, first of all, we learn them how to speak in order, using speaking as a tool to learn. And this is very important. So we learn to speak in order to use speaking as a tool to learn. What does it mean to learn? To learn other things rather than the language. Get it or not? Just tell me. Is it clear or not? Learning to speak in order to speak to learn. Clear or not? Just tell me, students. Students. Yes, I'm going to repeat it. We have two things to compare. We are, as teachers, our job is just what? To develop the speaking skill, to make them learn how to speak. This is step number one. And if they are developing their speaking skill, they are going to be ready to use speaking to learn other things, not the language. Now, when we are talking about topics that are to be used in a class, of course, they are going to use speaking or language as a tool to learn. Okay, so the aim here is just to what? To use speaking as a tool to learn. I mean to use language as a tool to learn. So we begin to learn speaking and to aim to use speaking to learn. You see now, these are something but contrasted. What does it mean? It means we begin to learn speaking and then to go to use speaking as a tool to learn. Clear?
Yes, Doctor, it is clear. Thank you.
Okay. What are these strategies? Okay. Using minimal responses. Yes?
Doctor, to learn, it means in the future, right? Or
yeah. Because the first step, you have, as a teacher, you have to teach them how to speak, and then they are going to use speaking to learn. This is now you are, as a student, of course, you learned how to speak English, and then now you are using speaking to talk with me. You use the language to learn the material that I have. So here you begin with to learn how to speak, and then to use speaking to learn. I believe that this is very clear.
Yes, Doctor, thank you.
Yes. Now, what are these strategies? Using minimal responses. Language learners who lack confidence in their ability to participate successfully in oral interaction often listen to in silence. Here we are talking about weak students. Okay, they are what? They are listeners more than speakers. So they are silent. They are passive. Okay, while others do the talking. One way to encourage such learners to begin to participate is to help them build up stock of minimal responses that they can use in different types of exchanging. Such responses can be especially useful for beginners. We are talking about beginners. Minimal responses are predictable. By the way, minimal responses are responses that are decided earlier. You know them. Okay, often idiomatic phrases that conversation participants use to indicate understanding, agreement. For example, students who are not using the language perfectly, or they are incompetent, they are going to use certain phrases. For example, yes, I agree. But what is more, they are not able to say yes, just like the word yes. They are saying yes. But what is after yes? Nothing. Do you know why? Because they are incompetent to use the language. They are listening, and they know that with agreement, when they agree to something, you say yes. Do you understand? Yes. But what is after yes? They are not going to say anything. But they only know that this is the response for the agreement. Yes. And when they, for example, when I say, do you have a question? No. You see that? Just like no and yes. Do you understand? Yes. Well, do you have a question? No. Just like this. So they only know the word yes and the word no. They are predictable answers. They know them, and they are repeating them all the time. But what is after? Do they have the ability to say something more? No. So this is what we call minimal responses, short responses, predictable responses, to show that they are with you when you are using the language, when they listen, but they are not able to say anything more. Doubt, for example, doubt. I don't know. Do you know this? I don't know. Do you know the answer? I don't know. Just like I don't know. This is for doubt. For agreement, yes or no. and other responses to what another speaker is saying. Having a stock of such responses enables enables a learner to focus on what the other participant is saying without having simultaneously a plan response. They don't have anything to add more. Is that clear for minimal responses? Okay. Number 2, recognizing scripts. Some communication situations are associated with predictable set of spoken exchanging scripts. Greeting, apologies, compliments, invitations, and other functions that are influenced by social and cultural norms, often follow patterns or scripts. So, do the transactional exchanging involved in activities such as obtaining information and making a purchase. In these scripts, the relationship between the speaker's turn and the one that follows can often anticipate it. What does it mean here? Those who are not able to use language competently, or let me say in the way that to reflect that they are able to use language naturally, fluently, and perfectly, they are using certain phrases. For example, in greeting, they are saying, for example, how are you? And you, for example, just like this, I'm fine, it's okay, okay, nice to meet you. These are, we call these scripts. They are related to certain situations, and they are limited, and that's why they are having these things only, no more. For a greeting, yeah, I'm fine, how are you, what do you how do you do, okay, nice to meet you, that's it. So these are scripts for situations that incompetent learners use, and they have nothing to add more. It's only known phrases, mostly used phrases. Even beginners, they know them, but they are not enough to achieve, let me say, complete talk or conversation. Yes. So we are going to say that they are the first step. They are the first step just to what? To develop their own speaking skill. Teachers can help students develop speaking ability by making them aware of scripts for different situations. For example, here, you remember when you were in the first class, you took a course of conversation, which is called situational dialogues, in which you have in each situation a topic, okay, on a bus, at a restaurant, at a hotel. These phrases are called scripts to be given to beginners to be the first step to talk. So you have to understand the situation, and you have to memorize the expressions that are found to use them in similar situation outside the class. And we have predictable responses, and this is very important. You know what is the answer and what is the question. Through interactive activities, teachers can give relevant and non-relevant information and tolerate less than word-by-word comprehension. What does it mean here? For these, let me say, activities, or let me say strategies, we are going to insert certain vocabulary which is relevant to the situation, or even we can tolerate irrelevant words, because we are understanding that those students are beginners. They are still having information about language, and they are not perfectly using the language. So we are going to tolerate these things because we are, dealing with beginners, not with advanced learners. Developing here, using Yes, through interactive activity, teachers can give students practice in managing and varying language that different scripts contain. Now, 3, using language to talk about language. This is strategy number 3. Language learners are often too embarrassed or shy to say anything when they do not understand another speaker, or when they realize that a conversation partner has not understood them. Teachers can help students overcome this situation by assuring them that misunderstanding and the need for clarification can occur in any type of interaction, whatever the participants' language skill levels. Teachers can also give students strategies and phrases to use for clarification and comprehension check. Okay, now when students are speaking, we are going to encourage them just to use certain phrases. Did you understand me? For example, is it clear? When we use these phrases, learners are going to check whether they are understood when they are using their language with others. So we encourage them to use language to talk about language. They are speaking, and after a period of time, they are using such phrases to talk about the language that they talk. It means that we are using language to talk about language. We use it for instructions. For example, did you understand me? Is it clear? Can I repeat? Of course, you are using the target language to talk about the language. By encouraging students to use clarification, these are what we call clarification phrases in a class when misunderstanding occurs, and by responding positively when you say, is it clear? Yes, it is clear. When they do, teachers can create an authentic practice. What does it mean, authentic practice? Which is immediate to the situation itself. Environment within the classroom itself is as they develop control of various clarification strategies, students will gain confidence in their ability to manage the various communication situations that they may encounter outside the classroom. What does it mean here? Students, when they are having a period of time to speak, and then when he's saying, is it clear? Did you understand me? If other students saying yes, this will encourage him to speak more, because he feels himself that he is using the language perfectly, or considerably, or let me say acceptably to make others understand him. This will create some sort of confidence to talk more. This is what we call using language to talk about language. This is the strategy to encourage students and develop their ability in speaking skill. And with this, we finalize with this chapter. Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay.
Doctor, excuse me.
Yes, please. Yes,
Here when we, yes, in these two stages, when we say the students are free or to use our language, but the topic, did the teacher choosing to the students or not? When asked, you said, I didn't get it.
This is for discussion, by the way.
Yes.
This is for discussion. The topic, the topic either decided by the teacher when the teacher is having an idea about what kind of topics that interest the students. This is one. Or to be chosen by the students themselves by what? By suggesting these topics and putting them on the board. And then it will be some sort of voting. You know voting, Fatma. to vote, raising hands. Which topic you want to talk about more, and it will be decided by the students. So either to be decided by the teacher when he knows what kind of topics that interest students, or to be decided by students themselves by suggesting them and putting them on the board. And if there are more than one, the choices will be decided by voting.
Yes, Doctor, and should to be authentic by the real situation. I mean,
Definitely.
Yes,
It should be authentic. It should be authentic, taken from everyday life situation.
Doctor, and I want to tell you something about the students طيبة حسام حسين.
Yes.
She told you that she's going to the university to pay a money of her studying. She told
Yes.
me to not just like to register her absent.
It's okay, but it's okay now. I'm going to check these things later. You see, and it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Any other question?
Yes, Doctor, about
Yes, say. Yes, say. Yes.
sorry, about material, you always say commit, and if I ask in the exam, but we see in the final exam we have don't comment.
Safe.
Yes.
Your voice is not audible. Please raise your voice and repeat your question.
About the material, Doctor, when you explain it, you say comment on how explain it, and in the final exam we have multiple choice. Or how?
Safe.
Yes.
You have to know this material is based on understanding, not memorization. This is one. Second, with comments, okay, even with these things here, even when we are talking about multiple choice or true false, it will be included, but in the way that it reflects some sort of comments. What does it mean? You are not going to comment, but you are going to match, for example, a comment which suits, for example, which suits the topic, and you are going to choose if it is a multiple choice or true false. For example, I'm going to give you a comment for something, but maybe it doesn't suit this topic, so you are going to say that this is false. Well, it doesn't matter whether it is MCQ exam or essay exam. I can do it, by the way, safe. You remember in essay writing, you see now, essay writing, it is basically let me say related to I mean essay questions, right? But we did it multiple choice and true false. Remember? So it is my it is my job to I mean change what is to be I mean answered in a form of essay, in a form of multiple choice and true false. This is my job. But to you as a teacher, you have to be ready. What does it mean? Readiness should be related to your understanding. This is what I need. This is one. Second, do not leave anything. What does it mean? It means when we tackle something, re-listen to the lecture once again. Consider what I emphasize. Consider what is important and consider what is not important. Have some sort of, let me say, notes. Change the recorded lecture into notes. Change them into question and answer. This is the strategy to help you to understand the course totally. Otherwise, it will be difficult. You see now, you see my way of teaching may be different from other teachers. I'm emphasizing understanding rather than memorization. Those who memorize will fail, for sure. For sure. Those who can understand, they will definitely pass. The material will be based on understanding. I'm addressing your minds. This is one. Second, I'm here to respond through the interactive lecture just now to your answer, to your questions, okay? And I'm checking from time to time, as I did today. I spent approximately 20 minutes to check the understanding of students. If you check my own questions, they are based on understanding rather than memorization.
Yes, right.
So here, it is my job to transform what is to be answered in a form of essay to a form of MCQ, I mean true, false, or multiple choice, as I did in the essay writing course. If you remember, here you were required to write an essay, but I used your writing attempts in the questions of multiple choice and true, false. And this is the mistake that you did as students in the first course with essay writing. You didn't pay attention to your attempts. You didn't, let me say, recognize or emphasize the practical part of the course, and you go to the memorization of the material, and that's why most of students failed in essay writing. And I may have the same results of CLT in the final examination if students follow the same wrong strategy. That is what they go for memorization and they leave understanding. Okay, you see now in the final examination of essay writing, only 2 students, I'm going to repeat, 2 students out of 189 succeeded. And even when they succeed, they achieve only 26 or 25 out of 50. And I have 88 students who failed in the, I mean, as a final result of essay writing. The same thing will be repeated if the same students are following the same wrong strategy in CLT as a matter of reading this material. Read for understanding, read for application, read for evaluation, not for memorization. If students are memorizing the material, for sure they will fail. For sure they will fail. Of course, your results in the monthly exam will be given to you on Friday, and it will be very clear to students to recognize their level in the monthly exam and to check, are they following the right strategy or wrong strategy. Get the point now? On a Friday, the results of the monthly exam will be given to you in the class, and you are going to discover, and you are going to see who are the students who are following the right strategy and who are the students who are following the wrong strategy. Is it clear now, Saif?
Yes, Doctor, clear. And
Okay. Any other question? Any other question?
The point you mentioned about the teacher interfere with
Sorry?
About the teacher when he interfered when the student have a mistake in information gap activities.
Yes.
As you mentioned, a role of one of a teacher is co-communicator, I think.
Yes.
And you say that he shouldn't interfere while the student
yes,
need him.
but here the interference, the interference will not to be done in the activity itself. Here, the interference doesn't mean that the activity will be broken. No, it will be done after the activity, and it will be done when there is feedback. You remember we have feedback. I mentioned this as one of the teachers, let me say, roles in the activity of discussion and the activity of role play.
But for co-communicator, we explain that
as a co-communicator, when the activity is going on and the students themselves call for the teacher to help, or as this is what as a facilitator, but as a co-communicator, he is going to interfere, not to correct, but to what? To keep speaking on. This is the idea.
yes, clear.
Any other question?
Yes, Doctor. If you
Yes,
want,
Mariam.
It's a lecture on the classroom quickly, because the previous lecture you are very light when you said it in the class.
I didn't understand you. What do you mean by this?
I mean, can you quickly send the lecture on the class, because the previous lecture you are very late when you
I sent, by the way, previously I sent the lecture in the Telegram channel, and it was sent the same day in the Telegram. Please. We decided earlier that the lecture will be sent both in Telegram channel and in the class. Okay, in the class. I mean, in the stream. Here, it depends on the following. First of all, it doesn't mean that I'm free all the time. You know, I have different responsibilities, and uploading needs time to check and just to upload. So sometimes I'm busy. You have to know that I'm not only a lecturer or a teacher. I have different responsibilities, and that's why sometimes I'm not sending them both in the same time. But I'm quite sure I'm sending the lectures in one of these facilities, whether in Telegram or in what, in the class. So if it's not available in class, it means that I'm not having the time to send it both, okay, in Telegram and in the class. But you see now, lecture 6 was available in the Telegram channel in the same day, along with the recording of the report discussion. So do not follow one way. If I have two facilities, if you are not finding the lecture in the class, it will be found in the Telegram channel. But I'm not responsible for the weakness of your net connection. This is your responsibility. If it is not available at your home, ask other students who are having good internet connection to download these things and to send it to you. So I'm not responsible for everything, Mariam. You have to consider that I'm a teacher basically, and I'm responsible for explanation of the material. But these technical things you are responsible for as a student. I'm quite sure I'm sending everything in time, especially in Telegram channel, because it is easier for me to send it there, and it is quicker than in a classroom. And even with this, it is sent just now. So I'm not late, Mariam. But you are responsible for having these things in Telegram channel. Got it now, Mariam, or not?
Yes.
So who is late now? Who is late now, Mariam? You are late because you are not getting the previous lecture in Telegram channel. Yes. Any other question? Any other question? Okay.
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, Abdul.
Doctor, about the script.
What?
About the script.
The script of what?
Yes, Doctor. About
You mean the strategies? Yes.
yes,
Recognizing script. Yes.
yes, Doctor. We know that the script is a certain expression. Can the students exchange these expressions? For example, when I say how have you been, I would say long time no see, and this is for benefit.
Well.
Therefore,
You mean you manage yourself? Yeah. I understand you. You mean you manage yourself with the structures that you do it yourself, not to be decided earlier. It means
yes.
that you are managing yourself. You are doing the responses. I mean, structured by you personally, not by. It will be accepted, but you see now with language use, you have to consider acceptability. I cannot use something out of nothing. It should be understood by the other side. It will not be used out of me, because this is a spoken form. It should be acceptable. You have to consider the word acceptability. You have the point now?
Yes, Doctor. It depends on.
It depends on the
how or
situation,
what.
Abdullah. It depends on the situation. Okay, I cannot use something which is basically from my native language to, for example, to use it in English. Okay.
Yes, Doctor.
So it is not a matter of using language depending on yourself. No, you have to consider the word acceptability. Is it acceptable by the society of using this language?
Doctor, you mean there is I mean it's for benefit for students to get more vocabularies.
Well. But here, as we said, we have scripts. Students will learn from these scripts, just like what you learned from the course of conversation in the first year. You have different dialogues and situations, and of course, you made use of it when you are going to use language outside the course itself. I mean, when you are, for example, going abroad, you can use these expressions and phrases when you are really in these situations. When you are in the airport, when you are in a restaurant, when you are going for shopping, yes, why not?
Yes, Doctor. Thank you.
It's okay. Any other question? Thanks
No.
so much. Thanks so much. And for the coming lecture, we are going to have another skill, that is reading skill. Thanks a lot.